Hello to you all. It's Bonnie here, back again with a Pilates workout. Today the workout is going to be focused on doing Pilates if you have osteoporosis. Now many of us have osteoporosis or its precursor known as osteopenia. Osteoporosis is a condition, the word itself means porous bone. It's a condition in which we lose density of our bone structure, and so the bone becomes thinner and weaker, and we are more susceptible to spontaneous fractures. So the reason that many people have osteoporosis can come from a variety of causes. For instance, if you've had chemotherapy treatment, it often predisposes you to losing bones. If you're very thin and have very small bones to begin with, that is a predisposing situation. And for most women, the loss of female hormones, specifically estrogen, that drops off dramatically at menopause, can trigger the onset of osteopenia, which is some loss of bone, or osteoporosis, which is a lot of loss of bone. So when you exercise, you do want to be careful that if you have osteoporosis, that you don't trigger a spontaneous fracture. But at the same time, you want to exercise so that you can keep as much bone as you have and prevent your condition from getting worse. So the most visible sign of osteoporosis that most people see is a certain starting of a humping of the upper back. I can explain to you the reason for that, but it's not important for this video. What's important is for us to figure out what we should emphasize and what we should de-emphasize when we're working out with osteoporosis. For one thing, because of this fact that we often start to hump the upper back when we have osteoporosis, we want to emphasize the strengthening of the back muscles, which can remind us to broaden our chest. We want to emphasize the building up of all of the postural muscles in the front, in the sides, in the back of our core, so that we'll be able to stand up straight with some ease. Of course, we want to strengthen the arms and the legs, but we particularly want to strengthen the side hip muscles, the abductors, because hips are, or the area at the top of the femur that inserts into the acetabulum, or where the leg bone goes into the hip socket, is a big point of fracture, and we want to strengthen that area of the bone so that we don't fracture it. We also want to strengthen our wrists because that is also a very prevalent form of fracture in people who have osteoporosis. Rather than avoiding exercise, you want to exercise intelligently, and you do want to exercise with resistance, because the more resistance you can place on the bone, the more stimulus you're presenting to that bone to make new bone cells. Finally, you never saw a balance exercise that you don't want to do if you have osteoporosis. Because if you and I, if we have osteoporosis, fall, the probability of our having a fracture is much higher than the probability of another person having a fracture. So it's important that we practice all of the balance exercises that we know, so the likelihood of our falling is reduced. So in this workout today, I'm going to do it in 3 different parts. The first part, which includes the introduction, is going to be something using a chair, so that even when we're feeling kind of a little lazy and don't want to get down on the mat to do exercises, or when we don't particularly feel like standing up, we're tired, etc., we can still exercise, and we can do it just sitting in a chair. All right, so I'm going to use weighted balls for this first series of exercises. I happen to have some down here. You do not need weighted balls. You can use light weights, and I'm talking about 1 pound, 2 pounds. These happen to be 2 pounds. You could also use 2 soup cans. You can use 2 water bottles. You can use nothing, especially if this is brand new to you. but it would behoove you and really benefit you if you would put a little weight in when you're starting to work, because that adds resistance. Okay, so before we start anything, if you're sitting in a chair, make sure it's a fairly flat seat, and that, I don't know if you can see, I'm not sitting way back so that I can touch the back of the chair. Instead, I'm sliding forward so that my sit bones are right towards the front of the chair. I have a right angle at my knee. If I had short legs and my feet wouldn't touch the floor, I would put something under my feet like a blanket or a towel to lift them up. So I have pretty much a right angle at my hip and a right angle at my knee. And then you want to make sure that you're sitting up as tall as you can, engaging your pelvic floor muscles, kind of really toning and lifting up the side body, widening through the collarbone, and make sure you're not pinching your low back forward, but that the tailbone is going straight down into the seat. Then you're either going to use your bare hands pointed up with the thumbs out, or a set of weight in your hands. Notice that I literally have my palms up a lot of the times in this workout, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so inhaling through the nose, you're going to reach up to the top of your head, and on the exhale, keep the length you've established and pull your ribs in. Right now, on the next inhale, you're going to open the forearms out and then close them again. Exhale to open and inhale to close. Exhale, open, inhale, close. Notice that my humerus, the upper arm bone, is just rotating in the shoulder socket. It's not moving forward or back. Remember to breathe, and remember to keep reaching up to the ceiling with your spine. We're going to do 3 more. 3, and 2, and 1. Now you're going to hold your arms wide, turn your palms forward. Make sure your wrists are not forward of your elbows, and keep the angle at the elbow constant, and move from the shoulder joint and bring your hands to touch over your head so you're forming a kind of diamond, and then come down. Exhale to come up and inhale to go down. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale up and inhale down. Exhale and inhale. You should be getting a little tired now. Exhale and inhale. You have 2 more. Exhale and inhale. Exhale, and then instead of going all the way down to your waist, you're going to come into what you look like a goal post. Right? So palms still facing forward, right angle at the elbow joint. Pull your abs in and just pull your elbows and your wrists back. You're not pulling just your elbows back or just your wrists. They're going together. And squeeze. You should feel your shoulder blades kind of squeezing together on this. What you don't want to feel is your low back pushing forward. So pull those frontal ribs backwards so that they're stabilizing the low back. Let's do 4 more of these. 4 and 3. We've got 2 more. 2 and 1. Now bring it just to an easy goalpost arm, and you're going to lengthen up those arms. Bring your upper arms as close to your ears as you can, and bring them down to your goalpost again. So you're going from a straight line to a right angle at the elbow. Up and down. Exhale and inhale. It's 4 and 3. We have 2 more. It's 2. 1 more. 1. Excellent, all right? Then turn the palms in so that they're facing the side of your head and your ears. Keep your elbows high and open your arms and close them. And open and close. And open and close. And open and close. 4 more. Inhale and exhale, working the tricep, working the bicep. Open and close. 1 more. Open and close, and then just open. Try to keep your palms up and bring your straight arms together in front of you, and then open them out. Why palms up? Because this externally rotates the arm bone in the shoulder socket. it is really hard to slump when your arm bones are in this position. If you had turned the palms over, you're medially rotating the arm bone in the shoulder socket, and it is really easy to slump. We've got 4 more. Feeling it yet? 4. And 3. We've got 2 more. Notice I have a slight bend in my elbow. You don't want to be rigid about this. And 1. Good. That's excellent. Can we bring it over the head one more time? Make a moon over your head and bring it down. This move in Pilates is called hug a moon. A little dumb, but that's what it's called. We've got 4 more. Lift it up and bring it down. So no more is the elbow involved. We're working solely from the shoulder joint. Oh, you should be thinking, when is this going to end? Bring it down, bend, turn your palms forward. Try to keep your elbows high and invert your arms and bring them up. Now this is an internal or medial rotation of the arm bone in the shoulder socket, and this is a lateral or an external rotation. When they're up, medial when they're down, and notice that your back could slump and crush that way, but not when the arms are up. Let's do 2 more. You want to avoid that flexion. Good. And then drop your elbows. I'm going to turn to the side for the last one in this set. You don't have to. I just want you to see. With your arms again at right angles, pull your elbows so that they're way back of your shoulders. Okay, so not here, but way back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then you're going to straighten the arm and bend it. I'm going to knock into the back of the chair if I do with 2 hands, but I'm expecting you to do it with 2 arms because you're facing forward. This is a tricep extension, but we're also really strengthening the muscles between the shoulder blades as we do this. And we've got 2 more. It's 2 and 1. Good. And put the balls or whatever weight you're using on the floor next to you for a second. Okay. Before we get up and do some other standing exercises, let's reach through those arms again and lengthen the spine. We never want to lose an opportunity to lengthen the spine when we have osteoporosis. We also want to constantly think of lifting our chest, because if we sink our chest, we're flexing. Bring the arms down. Roll your shoulders back. You should feel good. All right. Before we stand up and do some other exercises, what I didn't talk to you about, but I should, is what you should avoid when you have osteoporosis. We talked to you what you wanted to emphasize: the core muscles, the strengthening of the abductors, the strengthening of the wrist, the balance exercises, the exercising with a neutral back. What you want to avoid if you have osteoporosis is flexion. So what is flexion? I'm going to turn to the side again. If I have a straight back here, flexion is when I'm changing the shape of my back into a C curve. Pilates does this a lot. We roll up, we roll down, we articulate the spine off the floor and bridge, and we're constantly doing this, which gives you very strong abdominals, but also can, if not compensated correctly, weaken your back muscles. So in general, flexion, no matter what plane you're in, should be avoided. Lateral flexion or side bending, not great either. Thoracic spines or upper back are very susceptible to spontaneous fractures if you have, say, osteoporosis of 3 or 3.5. So those lateral flexions would not be very good for you. A small twist is probably all right for some people. A heavy, loaded, pushing twist. For instance, if I'm sitting here and I wrap my hand around the back and the other hand on the side of my leg, and I push with one arm and pull with the other, I'm getting a really significant twist, and that's probably too much force for you. So a little twist is part of life, okay? But a big, forced A heavy resistance twist is something that you should avoid. Should you avoid resistance in general? No. Resistance is really good. And should you avoid impact? You may be worried, oh, I have fragile bones, I don't want to do any impact, I shouldn't do jumping, I shouldn't do running because it's going to cause spontaneous fractures. On the contrary, when you exercise with osteoporosis and you have impact, you're stimulating bone growth. Now, I don't expect you to become a marathon runner if you've never run in your life, but I will show you other things that you can do in the standing portion of this that can stimulate bone growth and is impact, okay? But for right now, let's stand up from our chair. We're still going to use it. And I'm just going to change the position of the chair. So bring it to the side. And you want to have your hand on it for balance to begin with, okay? So that you don't want to slump over. You just want to have a little balance. And then you're going to put your hand on your hip. This leg, with the toes pointing forward, is going to go out to the side and back. Okay, now make sure, I hope you can see my toes. They're pointing toward you and coming back. And lift and lower. I'm trying to keep the side of my body very long on both sides as I'm doing this. And I don't want the upper body to follow the leg in the opposite direction. I want to keep the upper body as vertical as I possibly can. We're going to do 2 more. It's 2 and 1. Now you're going to lower the legs somewhat, keep the toes pointing forward, and you're going to do a little circle. You can see that this circle is not very big. Now I'm going to make them quicker. And 4. Every time I do that circle, I'm feeling resistance in my abdominals, so I have to pull up on my pelvic floor, keep the sides of my waist reaching upward, and then we're going to go backwards. If you've never tried this, you may think that this is actually the working leg. This is the leg that's strengthening more, the stability leg. Now let's bring the foot in front of you, it's not on the ground, and see if you can lift your arms to the side. And then just lift your leg and lower your leg. So now we'll come from working the abductors to working a little bit of our hip flexors, but mostly we're working our balance. Let's do 4 more. It's 4 and 3. We have 2 more. It's 2 and 1, and then put the leg down. Could you add on to this? Absolutely. Could you bring it up to the front and then out to the side? Sure. Up to the front and out to the side. We could do all kinds of things here, but let's get the fundamentals in this class. I'm just going to change the position of the chair so it's a little bit easier to hold on to. I think the back of the chair is the best. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Hand on the hip or hand out if that's better for you. Toes pointing forward, lifting up, pelvic floor engaged, abdominals engaged, and the leg lifts and lowers. I try to do 8 to 10 on each side, and I don't rush it because the quality of the movement is important. Getting through it is not important. 3 more. And 1. Good. Okay, we're going to do circles now. Not too big. Think about the size of a basketball. And then reverse your circle. Stop. Reach your arms out if you feel good about this. And lift the leg up and down. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. We have 4 and 3. 2 more. 2 and 1. Now you could, remember, go out to the side and up the front. And out to the side and up the front. Working the abductors, working the hip flexors, Working the balance like crazy. One more. And then put your foot down. Turn around, and this is a pretty good height for me, the back of the chair. And I'm going to walk away from the chair. Notice that I'm trying to keep my back straight. I'm going to lengthen out and bring my hips back. Try to get my hips directly over my ankles and lower my head. It can stay above the arms. It can go next to the arms. I'm pulling back through my tailbone, forward through my head, pulling my thighs back if your hamstrings can take that. And trying to elongate, elongate, elongate. Because that's the idea. You don't want to compress the front part of your spine. You want to elongate there. And then to come out of it, what you don't want to do is round. And so come onto your fingertips, keep your back straight, and walk in. Now let's try a similar position, turning the chair around. But this time we're not going to go onto the back of the chair, we're going to go onto the seat of the chair. So I'm going to step away from the chair, and instead of a forward flexion or a forward fold, yogis, you know what I'm talking about, forward folding, lift your chest and think of hinging at your hip crease so that your back stays straight. And then you're going to put your hands on the chair. And I'm going to come so that my shoulders are pretty much over my wrists. You don't have to be totally exact, but remember, you don't want to be humped at all. You want to be nice and straight. Okay, so now your feet should be about hip distance apart, and then holding on with one arm, lift the other arm up near your ear and just elongate. Now, as you're pulling forward with your fingers, the hip should be pulling back on that side, and then bring that down. Let's do the other side, reaching through the arm. Remember, I'm not rounding my back. My chest has to reach forward as if I had a hook on it and somebody was pulling me forward, and then bring it down. Arms are going to be both straight, chest is still lifted, shoulders are pulling to waist, and now my one leg is lifting, okay? Now if you want to know if the hip is aligned, you want to flex the foot and make sure the toes are pointing to the ground. If the toes are pointing out and the hips are misaligned, you're not getting much out of this. So hold it up and bring it down. Now the other side, you're going to hold it up with the foot flexed. And you can feel the work on the hips here, glutes and hips. And bring it down. Now we are going to try to put those two moves together. So I'm going to use my left arm, which is furthest away from the camera right now, and reach forward. And then I'm going to take my right leg and reach it back. I'm reaching through my fingertips, I'm reaching through my heels, I'm pulling my abs in, and I'm really working my hips and all my core muscles. Working your balance, bringing it down, and let's try the other side. Okay, I like to have the arm come up first, personally, and then let the leg come up. If you can only get the leg up a little, that's fine. The higher it goes, the better. The longer you can stretch it, the better. But remember, you have to really engage your core muscles in order to sustain this. And then put your hand down and put your leg down. Pull your shoulders toward your waist and step your feet back. Notice I'm not rounding my back as I'm doing that. Okay, so I'd like you now, your ankles should be considerably further back than your hips. You can see that I'm on a big angle here. Now I want you to push through your arms and press back. Your back is very straight. Your forehead is aiming for the front of the chair, and you're stretching again. Now you can lift your heels if you want to and come forward, and you're going to come into a plank. What you don't want to do is collapse into the plank, but try to keep a very straight line from your shoulder through your hip to your ankle. Pull your abs in, and then push back again. So for those of you who do yoga, this is a modified down dog. If you're mostly a Pilates person, you can think of this as a pike, and then you come to a plank. We're going to do this 6 times, okay? You're going to go back and stretch your hamstrings, push your thigh muscles toward the back wall. Think of lifting your buttock muscles up a little bit. Now as you lift your heels, I want you to think of bringing your tailbone toward your heels so that you feel a little lift of the navel towards your sternum. Your sternum is lifting, your collarbone is widening, and we're going to do 3 more. 3. This may seem slow to you, but this is where you build a real strength. And you have time to think about what is your core doing while you're doing this. It's not just about the arms and the legs. What are your stomach muscles doing? What are your back muscles doing? You should feel them engaging like crazy. Here's the last one. Remember, what I'm not doing is drawing my thighs towards the chair. Just trying to keep pretty much of a triangle shape. And then push yourself back. Walk your feet in a bit, right? And then you can take one leg, I'm going to pick my right, and bring it forward under the chair. Okay, now you want to make sure your frontal hip points are equal to the front and you haven't twisted when you bring that one leg forward. You're going to keep your back straight. You could put your hands on the back of the chair and lower your head. Now this is a much bigger balance challenge than when we have the 2 legs equivalent in the back. These are staggered legs, staggered feet, much trickier on the balance. You could put your hands on the chair if you like. If you think you can go lower without rounding your back, you can bend your elbows. Keep reaching your chest toward the front of the chair. Then straighten your arms. Step forward with the foot that's back. Step back with the foot that was forward. The 2 legs are straight. The hip points are pointing forward. The back heel is down heavily into the mat. And you can try again your various arm positions. This is tricky on the balance. You might feel your weight going to the outer edges of your feet. You want to equalize that weight, inner and outer edges. You might feel your back heel wanting to lift because your hamstrings are tight. You put your hands on the chair here, and maybe you can do it going to your elbows on this side. If you can't, don't worry about it. You just accept it. That's the way it is. And then straighten your arms. Walk your feet in. Pull your abs in. Pull your shoulders down. Keep your chest reaching forward. And maybe bring your arms back. And straighten up. Do a shoulder roll. Let's go down on the chair again. And this time, when we're sitting on the chair, you're again going to sit toward the front of the chair, not the back of the chair. Okay? So slide forward and take your hands, turn them forward. The thumbs should be out, and put them on the back of the chair. You can keep them fairly wide, and then you want to lean forward a little bit. So you'll feel when you lean forward that the front of the chest is really being stretched and the back between the area between the shoulder blades is being compressed and really engaged. So you're in a supported extension here. If your arms can take it, you're going to take your hands and bring them closer to one another on the back of the seat. Maybe even your pinky fingers will touch, and keep lifting your chest and reaching forward on a slight angle. If that's not enough for you, you're going to bring your hands to the side of the chair, bring it up on the chair. Again, pull your abs in hard, reach your shoulders backwards, reach your chest forward, and try not to have your head hanging. Pull it up towards the ceiling, and then you can always try to work those hands closer to one another, and you will find that if you wait 30 seconds in each of these positions, that it'll be better, and you'll be able to go deeper. But if you try it all at once, you might not be able to go deeper. Keep lifting the chest, and then slide your hands down and sit up straight. Now take your hands, and I have a folding chair here, so where this back of the chair becomes a leg is where I put my hands. If you have a dining room chair or something, about halfway back is good. Then I'm going to bring my feet out so that they're considerably beyond my knees. Okay, so if I lift up my leg, that's the way my leg looks. Okay, lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, pull your abs in. Now it's going to be weight bearing on your shoulders, weight bearing on your wrists as you swing your hips up. Your straight line now, so it's a supine plank. Your straight line from the shoulder to the knee, and then you swing down. Notice that my back is not rounding. And I'm coming up, and I'm going down. And exhale, and inhale, and exhale, and inhale. Notice if your knees separate when you come up. You don't want them touching, but you don't want them splaying apart. You want to keep them in two parallel lines. When you're up here, you should feel weight on your heels particularly, and go down. Last one, exhale, you're going to come up, hold it here, and then do little pulses at the top for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just drop down. Good. You can bend one knee and straighten out the other leg. Reach your arms up and see if you can go toward the toe with a straight back. If you're rounding, forget it. You want to see where you can hinge, keeping your arms next to your ears. Don't try to touch the toe. Pull your abs back. Dig your heel and the bottom of the flat foot into it and reach. Come back. Bring your arms down. Switch legs. Again, think of how tall, how straight can you get. Reach your arms up. Flex your feet. Lean forward from your hip crease. That's your pivot point. Don't try to go too far down, because if you do, you might go into this shape, which is the shape we're trying to avoid. And reach, 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 reach. And come all the way back. Okay, so I'm just going to turn around. I think that's the end of part 1 of this little tutorial that I'm doing today. So sitting at the edge of your chair, let's pretty much start the way we began and take an inhale and reach your arms up to the ceiling. And now frequently in a Pilates class, people would have you touch or side bend here. So if you're in a Pilates class and somebody wants to side bend, what you're going to do is reach one arm down, one arm up. and do a lengthening on one side. Okay, so all you're doing is lifting and elongating, either from your foot if you're standing or from your hip if you're sitting. While other people in the class are laterally flexing, you're avoiding that and just lengthening. Good, let's do the other side. Lengthen. And lengthen, we will do 4 more. So remember, as we end this part of the workout, it's not that you need to avoid Pilates classes. You simply need to compensate when they're doing moves that are not good for you and substitute other moves. Bring it down, bring your hands down. I'm going to change around the props a little bit and I'll come back with video number 2 in just a little bit. Thanks for watching.